Reality activated report.
We are live.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome, Lynn.
We have a guest today, Lynn. How
Hi,
are you
guys.
doing?
I'm good.
Good. So you wanna tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well,
Like, why did you decide to get into Reiki Healing?
well, lots of reasons, lots of different paths have led me to become a Reiki practitioner, which I absolutely love. And I think the main thing was to help people live their best life, help people relax, help people de-stress. As you know, we're in such a incredibly fast-paced world where do we really, really feel our feet in the bottom of the shower in the morning because we're in such a hurry? I think people don't. And so helping with kind of balancing people, balancing lives.
Do you just want to real quick before we jump into it describe what like the definition of Reiki is?
Yes. It's pronounced Reiki, and it's Reiki. And it has, of course, lots of definitions, but I usually say that Reiki is a very, very ancient form of healing, and it's a Japanese form of stress reduction and relaxation. And with that relaxation and stress reduction, it promotes healing. And all of us can use a little bit of healing, whether it's emotional healing or physical healing. And it's the laying of the hands on people. The practitioner actually gently touches, and it's a very subtle energy that flows from my hands into the body of the client. And the results are fascinating.
Do you think that, like, when you're touching them, you have your energy transposed to them?
Absolutely. That's part of the whole process is you could become, either one of you could become a Reiki practitioner. But I've gone through, and we'll talk later in the podcast about what did I have to do to be able to say, hey, yeah, I can transmit Reiki.
So that I was going to ask, so it is something that like you have to first get before it to transfer, kind of like transcendental meditation where someone else has to learn it first before they can give it away.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So what is involved in becoming a Reiki healer?
Well, first of all, a passion and a desire. And I think that some of us are just somewhat born healers, and I always feel that I'm very much a nurturer. And the ability to heal is somewhat innate in me. So you can say, well, you can go to a weekend workshop. Well, yeah, of course, anyone can say I'm a Reiki practitioner after a 2-day workshop, which I did do a 2-day workshop. Very intense, very fascinating. But I have studied very much for, probably the last 5 years under different practitioners. And then they have what is called becoming attuned, where you, at the end of your studying, you literally have a master of Reiki put their hands on your crown chakra, and you truly feel the energy coming into your body, and it's fascinating. And it's a moment I'll never forget. I was actually seeing beautiful purple, and I visualized white doves, and that's not something that would just come to mind unless there was truly an energy transmitting into my soul, so to speak.
Do the colors mean anything? So if you saw like greens or reds?
Well, you wonder what they do mean. The deep, deep relaxation, we'll talk about this later as well, as some of my clients have said, when I was in the midst of one of your sessions, I was seeing deep purple. And that's kind of the color of all enlightenment and all relaxation. So some people don't see colors. Some people do see colors. And then, of course, the chakras, which we'll talk about as well, they're obviously the colors of the rainbow, which have different meanings. And that's the whole idea of Reiki, is to get your chakras in balance and in alignment.
Where's your crown chakra?
Top of your head.
Oh, that's what I thought. It makes sense. It's a crown.
It's a crown.
So how does someone benefit from Reiki?
Well, the clients that I have had have come in. It might be 8 o'clock in the morning. They might have an 8 o'clock session, and they've come in after 9 hours of sleep. And so they don't think they're going to fall asleep. But guess what? In 10 minutes, they're asleep. And their body is just transformed into this deep relaxation. They wake up feeling refreshed, and they'll say, wow, I've never felt so relaxed in my life. So, what was your question, Barry, actually?
How do they benefit?
How they benefit. Yeah, it's just the utter relaxation, shutting our body down. And then as I touch someone's body, whether it be their shoulders or their head or their abdomen, my energy will go to the parts of their body that may be blocked. There's something called a Boysen scanning, and that's where I can literally put my hands above someone's body and I can feel where the energy blocks are. And I know this one client that I had, she was fascinated. I kept feeling her left jaw. I mean, there's an energy block in her left jaw. So at the end of the session, I said, "What's up with that?" And she looked at me. She goes, "You won't believe this." She said, "I have to get a root canal in a couple of days because my left jaw is not
That's
healthy."
crazy.
It was cool. Yeah. So you can actually, the more you practice Reiki, the better you become at feeling those energy blocks. And then another one of my clients, I could feel kind of right between her breastbone, there was a blockage in there, and she actually had some issues with, where your esophagus and that whole part of your digestive connects. And she actually did have issues with that. And I mentioned to her, "Hey, I'm feeling this is stagnant. Why don't you go take a look at this?" So the whole idea of Reiki is to work with clients, get them relaxed. Even though they're asleep, their body still benefits unbelievable ways from the power of Reiki.
I have a question. So when you were like younger, like a little girl, or your teens, early 20s, early 30s, whatever, did you ever have like a affinity for something like this?
I think I did. I was always very outdoorsy. A little bit of, I don't want to use the word loner, but I had no problem being alone out in the woods. We lived on some land. I had a tree house. I loved being up in there. I would always nurture my dogs, my cats. I had horses. We had cows. So I do think I've probably always had that innate drive to care for other beings, other things, whether it was a little snake I found or a box turtle. I do believe that I felt the need to be nurturing and healing of other things.
Sorry. One of the unbenefits of not having a microphone stand.
You were talking about how you can you're saying feel something in the jaw. What goes on through your head when you're doing that?
That's a good question. It's more of I feel it kind of in my torso, like I'll feel tightness. Where I'm thinking this isn't quite right, or I know this one woman was she's a celiac disease. I've had extremely amazing, good response to clients that have celiac disease, and they love how they feel post Reiki session with their digestive system. I mean, you literally can hear their tummies start gurgling because perhaps their bodies aren't digesting properly. They're struggling. So a lot of my clients that I do see have celiac. So they love how that stimulates the whole process of intestinal wellness, I guess you could say. So I do pick up on that as well.
Can you see, like, if you looked at someone, could you see a potential problem, or is it something that you have to be like they have to be like
on the table,
for lack of a better word, under your spell?
Well, I guess we didn't talk about this. When you are working on a Reiki client or someone's in a Reiki session, they're fully clothed. It's not like a massage where you're underneath a sheet. I do keep my clients extraordinarily warm and comfy. A lot of times they will walk in and I'll feel their emotional distress. I had one client come to me. She came maybe 5 times in a row, and this is kind of a beautiful story. An unfortunate beginning, but her home had burned to the ground, and she was feeling so betrayed by something that was so amazingly important to her. How could my home fail me? And so she had a lot of anger and a lot of sadness. And the first time I met with her, she probably cried 90% of her session.
Oh, wow.
Just because Reiki can do that. It can pull out that pent-up sadness and the pent-up emotions. So she cried and cried and cried. And then we ended the session with meditation. And the next time she came back, she cried a little less. So we were helping her work through the sadness. And she said, these therapists aren't helping me. This Reiki is, because I was actually getting into her soul and her psyche and helping kind of regurgitate, if you will, the anger she felt because her home betrayed her. And she felt so lost because this beautiful place that she was her castle was no longer there. So we did a lot of really, really awesome work with her through Reiki in healing of the fact that she had lost her home.
Do you have any clients that come in that don't have any sort of like distress? They just want to experience it?
Absolutely. And that's a good question as well. You don't have to have distress. You don't have to have any sadness, but we all carry worries. We all carry stress. So just to come in and relax your body, get to that deep level of relaxation and goodness, leaving there feeling charged. And Reiki, the benefits of Reiki last for a few days. And it's really, I have a few clients that, are in corporate America. They're exhausted. They come, they're asleep in seconds. And you can literally see their bodies will twitch. Maybe a leg will twitch or an arm will twitch. And I tell them there's no right or wrong on the Reiki table. And what I mean by that is if you snore, you snore. If you're in deep sleep, you're in deep sleep. If you want to visit, we'll talk. But most of the time, people do shut down.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
What's like a typical session? Like, what do you do? Like, because if they just come in there, do they tell you about it, or do you just like, hey, I'm having this sort of like distress, or this is kind of what I want to work on, and they sit there, or they just come there?
Some people just want to hop up on the table and get right to the session because they just want to turn within. I have these beautiful they're called soul, S-O-U-L, soul stones, and they have different sayings on them. So I will get them comfortable on the table, and I will read the different soul stones, such as all will be well, release the past, the future is great, I am love, I am beautiful. So there's different soul stones, and then they will hold that in their hand, and those are very healing. And then they have that to grip onto, so that might kind of be their mantra as I'm working on them. So some people come, just like you said, just for relaxation and goodness. Some have deeper work that they want to do. Interesting story. I had this one client come to me, and she was a breast cancer survivor, beautiful woman, and I could just tell she harbored anger just about her family. So I thought, well, we're going to start chipping away at this anger. And it was more of her brothers and sisters and extended family. And I was probably the third time I had seen her. And I kid you not, I had this vision of this very dominant woman figure standing at the end of the massage table where she was. And it was almost alarming to me. And this woman was holding this bowl and like stirring a mixture. And so I had to ask my client about it. I said, what in the world could I have seen? Why would I have visualized this? And she was, of course, taken aback. And she says, oh my gosh, that is the energy of my sister, who's still living, but I was picking up on her sister's energy. And she said, when I was going through breast cancer treatment and healing, she had had a mastectomy. She said, my sister cooked a lot for me. But
Whoa.
She said, yeah, this is crazy.
It's heavy.
Very cool. She said, my sister cooked a lot for me, but I always felt there were strings attached. And she said, I didn't truly feel her love like I would like to have felt. And she said, we've since had a falling out. And so I said, well, maybe it's time to make amends with your sister. But I truly picked up on this.
That's crazy.
Very dominant woman in her life. Mm-hmm.
You were talking about like earlier about before of things like when you were younger. Mm-hmm. Did you ever pick up on that sort of stuff when you're younger? Like the whole idea of you see her mixing bowl, but not in that case.
Other spiritual entities when you're younger?
Oh, I'm very intuitive. And growing up, we lived in a home. You guys will love this. We lived in a home that definitely had spirits in it. Oh. And good spirits. And they were all, anytime we would hear from them, it was around music. A clock radio might come on at 2 a.m, or the piano would play. It's super cool. And my mom and my sister, Kathy, and I very much would all tell the same stories if you talk to us separately. So yes, I never felt fearful, always felt at peace, but they were most definitely a family that had resided somewhere in the homestead of where our home was.
Was it an old home?
It was an older home, but listen to this. This is really cool. So we put our house on the market to move to a different home. And the realtor, her name was Lynn. I'll never forget this. Lynn Meter actually was her name. And she would be in our home, of course, for open houses. And she said to my mom, she said, there's some spirits in this home. She said, I picked up on their energy. And so she validated everything that we had known while we were living in that home. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
So did you ever see anything or just hear it?
We never saw anything. There was a story about a spatula one time, that had been put in an unusual place that was not describable. And then one day my sister and I came home from school and we had 2 cats and they would sit out on the balcony and we were having our after school snack. And so no cats in the house. My sister and I, the only 2 home, and the piano was playing. Cool stuff. You don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
Was it like nice melodies?
Beautiful melodies.
Was it a song you could recognize?
Nope.
So was it original?
Probably.
Baroquean
It
period.
was an original. Yeah. And then we had a little rocking chair that was a musical rocking chair, had a music box on it, and the rocking chair would play in the night all the time.
That's crazy.
And you just were never fearful of it. So yes, there's always been kind of that spiritual goodness in my life. Never fearful, just very much goodness.
How nervous are the clients when they come in for the first time?
They're nervous.
They're pretty nervous.
Mm-hmm. And they don't know what to expect. It's not massage. Just so you know, it's not massage. It's me placing my hands on their neck, their shoulders, different parts of their body for their organ health. And then feet work is amazing. I'll do some reflexology, and you can really feel good energy entering into their feet. And that's a lot of times when you'll see a twitching knee or a twitching leg, or maybe the left hand starts twitching or vibrating, and that's energy blocks being moved through their body.
Do you do this like animals by chance, like a pet?
Animals respond beautifully to Reiki. And I had a dog. She's now passed. She had injured her hip, and I did Reiki energy on her and healing, and it was absolutely fascinating how it helped her feel better. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I have a mentor that I go to, and she's here in the city, and she has 2 dogs, and whenever she's doing Reiki on me, the dogs are right there within a couple of inches of me because they feel that goodness as well.
What was your first experience like doing it to somebody? Was it like a teacher, or was it?
It was during class. We were doing the boys in scanning, and I could pick up on this woman that she had a kidney block, and I asked her about it, and she seemed surprised. She said, yes, my kidneys are always kind of my weak part of my body. So we talked about that.
Is it common for others doing this to have that same experience where, like, oh, I can feel a block here?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it like through person to person differently?
I think it's to person differently. Sometimes I don't feel any blocks. Someone may hop up there, and I just feel the need to just, head to toe, give them a good session. Out the door they go, they feel better.
So do you actually physically touch them, or is it like a hover?
You actually physically touch them. It's hands gently on the body.
So for like the blocks, any of them, is it like kind of like, like when you get like a lump in your back, like if I'm giving my girlfriend a massage, I can like feel like a lump and kind of like rub it out.
Keep working it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of like that? Is there any of that kind of sense to it where like you're like, oh, there's a lump there, or is it just more energy?
More energy, more heat. And then as I'm touching someone, my hands become extremely warm, and everyone comments on, cannot believe how warm your hands are. And that's just the Reiki energy being transformed from me to that particular. And when you go through attunement, I'll share with you, an attunement is when I received the Reiki energy. As I mentioned earlier, I saw the bright purple and the doves. You can see vivid colors. You'll feel the very warmth of the hands. You feel a deep sense of peace, visions of who knows what you might see. You might feel the need to sleep as well. Heightened sensitivity, and as we talked earlier, emotional release, and then a lot of times pain in the spine and neck will also resolve itself.
Have you ever experienced something like, because I always hear like good stories. Is there something that's been bad? You're
You
just
know,
like, I can't do this person.
that's a really good question as well. And what you do is after I'm with someone that I feel a lot of bad energy, you kind of rub your hands over your body and you cleanse. As a practitioner, you want to cleanse yourself so that you don't walk away with that bad energy.
So it can jump from them to you?
Absolutely. So
Oh.
you have to be very careful about that.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Is it them not willing to let go that creates the negative energy?
They're not willing to let go, maybe not really believing in Reiki. I had this one woman, she's an MD. Oh my gosh, she came, how many times do you think? Once. Because she was not willing, as you say, Barry, not willing to let go, not willing.
She's not ready.
She's not ready. Mm-hmm. And she's the one that needs it the most.
Yeah. So do you think that everyone, because I believe that each individual human has their own spiritual journey. It may not be as super spiritual as someone else, but we all have like our own journey. That's kind of actually why Barry and I started this, was kind of like a betterment for each of our journeys. Mm-hmm. So do you think that everyone has one, and maybe like Reiki, right?
Reiki.
Reiki. Do you think that maybe scares some people because maybe deep inside they're like, I know I need to get rid of this, or I need to take care of this, but I'm not ready yet because I'm afraid?
Absolutely, 100%. And the story I told you about the woman that had been going through breast cancer, and I visualized her sister, extraordinarily powerful woman in her life. She has not been back since that happened, because I think she too is dodging the reality of the pains of her family and that woman in her life. And so you hope they circle back around and come to you, because Reiki does release those type of emotions and kind of cleanses the soul, if you will. So if you're not ready, you're probably not going to enjoy a Reiki session.
Do you think you have to kind of like to some degree believe in it for it to work? Because you're saying that like if that one MD just like, I don't really believe any of this.
I think so. It's certainly not a placebo effect, because it definitely works. But yeah, if you're sitting there on my table rigid and you're not sinking into the goodness of the foam and feeling the goodness of the aromatherapy that I may have put under their nose and relaxing and listening to the Om music, why are you there?
Yeah.
With the aromatherapy, just real quick, what does it mean when one certain scent is your favorite scent? It's like if you have like frankincense or myrrh or patchouli or sandalwood, does it mean something more if you enjoy a certain scent?
Our bodies will morph into what scent we gravitate towards based on what we need. And that's what's so fascinating about essential oils. There's times in my life when neroli is my go-to. And neroli it's from the little teeny tiny flowers of the bitter orange tree. So you can imagine how many teeny tiny flowers it takes to make a vial of essential oils. And neroli is what I gravitate towards when I'm feeling exhausted or anxious. Then there may be a time when frankincense is my go-to, and that's when I'm feeling maybe a little more umph and ready for life, and maybe that's what I would put under my nose when I go on a run. So absolutely, there's essential oils for seasons, and that'd be a fun podcast to do in the future. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
Essential oils for seasons, and our body will gravitate towards the oils. And there may be one time when a woman may love the essential oil of rose, which is very uplifting, or she may want to have bergamot, which is great for health of post-cancer. So yes, to answer your question, Barry, there are certain things as why we gravitate towards certain oils. Absolutely.
I love bergamot.
I don't know what that is.
Like, you've ever had Earl Grey tea? It's like black tea with bergamot in it.
To me, Earl Grey tea kind of stinks.
Really? I love
bergamot or Earl Grey stinks?
Earl Grey stinks.
Man, I love Earl Grey tea.
It feels very earthy.
Doesn't it smell like chamomile?
No.
Or is that chamomile tea?
My mom always says it smells like cologne.
Chamomile, yeah, it does. Chamomile is just an amazing essential oil.
I don't like that smell.
Oh, I love it.
I don't like it, I think, because when I was a kid, I got bad poison sumac, and I think my mom rubbed
chamomile
all over me, and just that smell and being itchy. There's like a conditional effect in my brain from that.
You probably might, and that's very, very true about sense is one of the strongest senses that we have, and you don't lose that. I can smell, the walnuts that fall on the ground this time of year. I will pick one up and smell it, because it takes me right back to my grandpa's garage, because he would always have a bucket of walnuts in his garage. And you don't forget the fragrances. Or I had one lady say, oh my God, that smells like my ex-husband. I can't have that around me. So you do not lose that memory. Your mind does not forget. Maybe brings back an old girlfriend or an old time in your life that may be good or bad, and then you may not gravitate back towards that oil.
Yeah, we had a podcast and we talked about memory and how scent is connected to memory.
Absolutely.
Because it's a different part of your brain and whatnot.
It's like really close to where your memory is stored.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always have. Do you ever have phantomnesia? Because I have that, where it's like you just smell things that aren't really happening
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, you need to tune into that, because sometimes that's our ancestors that have passed that are coming back in your life.
Really?
Absolutely.
When you smell like something weird and you don't know why you're smelling it?
I believe that's a spirit.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
Absolutely.
Mine's always like cinnamon. What's that mean?
Did your grandma used to bake a lot?
I don't know any of my grandmothers.
Oh.
My dad's mom passed away before I was born, and then my mom's mom passed away before I was like consciously aware of what a grandma is.
So now where are you when you're smelling the cinnamon?
Oh, just anywhere.
Mine's garbage. I smell like a putrid smell. I don't know what it is.
Garbage?
Yeah, it's not garbage.
We need to work on that.
It's just like a kind of sewery smell. But here's the weird thing, though. There was like my grandma, she's still alive, but her house, there's a septic tank there, and it used to back up and smell like shit. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
It's reminding you of your grandmother?
So even though the smell's not pleasant, the memories are?
Yeah. Well, it's my
Okay.
grandma and my great grandpa. He lived by the river, by the Mississippi River, and when it would flood, it would smell like shit. So, and it was right by a sewage place. So maybe that's why.
Maybe that's what you smell.
Yeah.
There's times when I'll be in, maybe waking up in the morning and I'll have this smell. My grandpa was a pipe smoker and just adored him. And you know that yummy smell of the unburnt tobacco?
Yeah.
I'll smell that sometimes. And there's no way that's in my house.
It always smells like raisins to me.
Yeah.
It smells
yes,
good.
True. It does smell good.
When it's on your fingers too, it smells good.
It smells good. He always had a little pouch with just yummy tobaccos in there, and I do smell that. And then I've smelt just different fragrances wave through my bedroom, and I'm thinking, that's nothing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, some fragrances work for me and some don't. Like that overproduced perfume.
Yeah.
I don't really enjoy that. I much rather have like earthy smells, like I was saying, like patchouli.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I am an certified holistic aromatherapist, truly, and I do not wear perfume because I do not like fragrances. And there's a difference between fragrance oils and essential oils. Fragrance oils are man-made, essential oils are nature. So I can sniff them out, so to speak, and I won't wear any.
It's off-putting to me.
What about colognes? I love colognes.
Colognes are good, and a lot of colognes do have essential oils in them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like I know one that I have has bergamot in it. And that's
Yes.
the reason why, because I love bergamot.
Probably love that, right?
Yeah. My mom bought me a bergamot candle, and that thing lasted like 8 hours.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
So going back to like the Reiki healing, is each session the kind of similar, or it depends on like how well you know the person, or if it's the first time, if it's like their 15th time?
Depends on where I'm feeling the blocks. Depends on a lot of times if I'll feel a block in like your lung meridian, that's grieving. That means they're grieving something, and I've picked up on that, and I'll say, what are you grieving? And this one client said, oh my gosh, I can't believe you picked up on that. She said, my husband and I have separated. My son's going to be spending the summer with him, and I am deeply grieving the fact that my son's not going to be with me this summer. So we talked about that and we worked through it. But a lot of the effects of Reiki are, it promotes natural self-healing. It releases blocks and helps you pull up suppressed feelings. It will balance your organs and your glands. It will clean toxins. That's another thing. After a Reiki session, you want to drink lots of water. Lots of water. And you may feel you may want to really turn within and just go be by yourself for a while, and that's fine. It helps relieve pain, treat symptoms and causes of illness. So that type of thing.
What, so you said blocked or like deep down suppressed feelings.
Yeah, I was curious about that as
Yeah.
well.
So like, is it kind of like, could it possibly be kind of like a regressional I guess, practice, not like regressional hypnotherapy where they like, regress you back to something, but could it possibly like bring up something you'd forgotten about
Oh, absolutely.
that could be like blocking you that you're unaware of?
Absolutely. And we talk about that. A lot of times we start the session with a meditation, and there's lots of times tears. People that come often, they know what they're getting into. So there are a lot of times tears and exhaustion, and we may read a sentiment that they just randomly draw, and then they're like, I can't believe how that completely is what I needed to hear right now.
You're talking about tears like crying or tears in levels?
No, crying.
Okay,
as in crying, like shedding tears of just
T-E-A-R-S.
T-E-A-R-S, yeah. And so I do think as you work through and see someone repetitively, they will say, that opened up. That made sense to me. I need to go speak to her. I feel better about that. I've been carrying this weight on me for the last couple of years, and this is becoming more clear to me.
How are you like meeting new people? Not like in the sense of doing the Reiki healing. I just mean in general, like feeling their vibes out.
Oh my goodness, I can read energy. Absolutely. You can pretty much sum someone up across the room, and then I can also scan their face.
Yeah, I don't like looking at you.
Why?
You're like scanning them over there.
You're holding the microphone completely over your face.
That's what I used to do when we recorded.
Yeah.
But I can look at someone and say, they have a digestive distress, and it's pretty fascinating.
Did you get that when you saw my girlfriend?
No.
Oh.
Why? I didn't really look at her face that much. I need to.
She I don't think she has celiac, but she's got some gluten thing going on.
Gluten sensitivity.
Yeah.
See, I don't have celiac, but I have definite gluten sensitivity.
Yeah.
Is she gluten free?
Yeah, we are. We eat gluten free. We try to.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't feel so bogged down.
Absolutely.
That doesn't affect me at all.
I think some people it doesn't affect.
I can eat all the gluten I want, and it doesn't bother me. I can eat gluten-free stuff, and I feel the exact same.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I can't do it with pizzas. I do like the gluten-free crusts, I gotta admit.
Yeah, I do too. Because it's thinner. I like thin crust pizza.
Like the crackery thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like deep dish, like the Chicago like lasagna.
No.
Like it's actually like a pizza pie.
Yeah, if I wanted pasta, I'd eat pasta. I wouldn't eat like pasta on bread.
Yeah, and it takes forever to cook too.
Yeah.
Instead of something like 15 minutes or so.
Another story for you guys.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, do you have any other stories?
I do. This one's very fascinating, and it's near and dear to my heart. I was, usually when I go get massages, I usually have a female practitioner because it seems like there's more female massage therapists in the world. And this one time I had gone to a spa, and this gentleman came in, and he was my masseuse for the evening, and super nice gentleman. And I said, are you Reiki? And he goes, yeah, because I could kind of pick up that he had super unbelievable healing abilities. He says, yeah, I am Reiki. And so as I'm getting my massage, I kept seeing this vision of a little boy standing in front of a Christmas tree. And the little boy was 6, maybe 7 years old. It was just couldn't get this vision out of my mind. So whenever he would rub my feet or touch my legs or whatever you do in a massage, it was very, very powerful. I could see this little boy in front of a Christmas tree, a 6 or 7 year old. So we chatted, and at the end I said to him, I've got to ask you a question. And because he was picking up on my Reiki energy, I was picking up on his. It was a very amazing massage. And I said, I've got to ask you a question. I said, I keep seeing a vision of something, and does this have any sort of relevance in your life? I said, I see a picture of a little boy standing in front of a Christmas tree. And he looked at me, and he kind of put his head down. He says, oh my gosh. He said, tell me more. And I said, well, and I kind of explained the picture. And he said, that is me as a child. He said, I'm trying to find that photograph. My Nana had it in a little frame, and somewhere over the years it's become lost. I'm looking for it. He said, a couple of years ago, my son passed away in a motorcycle accident. And he said, my wife and I have not put up a Christmas tree since his passing. And he said, I want to find that picture to look at it so that I can try and return to that feeling of joy that I had the day I was standing in front of that Christmas tree. And he and I both kind of started crying like, this is fascinating. And so we chatted a little bit, and he says, well, he said, I thank you for bringing that to my attention. And we visited for a while. And he said, I think this might be my year to pull the Christmas tree back in the house.
Whoa.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sense when other people have it?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever sense when like someone has something but they're unaware of it?
Example?
Like if you saw someone and you're like, man, they have this like weird energy field about them or something, and then if you kind of poke into it a little bit and they just are completely unaware of it.
Yes, I think my daughter definitely. I've helped her realize that she's got a lot of cool energies, and she and I, a true story. Don't laugh when I tell you this. We have been at Target before, and our energies have shut down all of the registers. Kid you not. You have
Really?
this. Mm-hmm. That would be another fun thing to talk about sometime. Have you ever heard of people that can turn off street lights as they drive under them? Have you heard about that?
No.
True phenomenon.
Really?
And if your energy's running too high, you literally will turn street lights off as you drive underneath them.
I've walked into rooms before and light bulbs have blown out, but I think that it's just
No.
I run through light bulbs in this house like none other.
Well, there you go.
But I think it's just an old house and it's just wired shittily.
But they're new light bulbs.
I mean, this house is wired so shittily, I think.
What if like
We have electricity.
And this room, I mean, all this equipment pulls a lot.
Yeah, but every time we're in here, besides like sometimes the faultiness of trying to record stuff, but for the most part, it always turns on.
Yeah. Well,
Everything.
I mean,
It's working.
there used to
Yeah.
be 2 light bulbs up there. Now there's only one. Actually, there's 3.
But blowing light bulbs, making computer systems not work. I can't tell you how many times people said, I've never had this happen before. The computer's not working. I'm not going to be able to take your credit card today. Or they'll have to get online because there's literally, truly energy that you can transmit. And that's when I know maybe I need to calm down myself a little bit. Maybe I'm too revved. Maybe I need a Reiki treatment. Maybe I need a massage because your energies can flow so quickly and so heavily that you truly can turn off street lights and you truly can shut down computer systems.
Do you know about like The Secret and like the law of human attraction and like manifestation and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So does that sort of ability, is that transferable from the energy you produce in Reiki?
Can you manifest things based on that energy?
Well, I'm saying are you able to manifest things better because of your Reiki abilities?
I think that I can definitely compartmentalize better and focus on what I'm trying to manifest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I know that it's all about like energy and having the right positive energy, putting it out into the universe as much as you can. So those things kind of coincide.
Absolutely. And have you all ever been to Sedona?
I have not.
Wow. Must.
No.
It's a to-do. Must go. The energies in Sedona are absolutely fabulous. True energy fields there. And I think once you go to Sedona and truly get into your ohm in your space and feel the goodness there, you can, if you're back here in your hometown, you can literally stop and you can pull the energies. I can feel that coming to me from Sedona.
That's kind of how I feel about Colorado.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I'm down, I think about the mountains there and kind of put myself in that mind state of being there, or hopefully Wait, is Sedona, is that Northern California?
Sedona's Arizona.
Oh.
Close though. I had no
Close,
idea where it was.
sister state, right? Is
Yeah.
Arizona touch California? I don't know.
Well, there's a song by this band called Houndmouth. And
Yeah,
they have a song, Sedona Arabelle. That's a good song.
Yeah.
You should check it out.
Sedona's a good place.
Yeah.
Lots of good energy, lots of crystals. I don't know much about crystal healing, but that's on my to-do list.
My stepmom, she's, she has salt lamps all over our lake house and all over our houses. But she's like into, I think, crystals and that sort of thing. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. She was a masseuse, actually. I think she is a masseuse. I don't know.
That's something I want to learn more about. I got to be honest, is when you can power them up and when you can energize them and what they actually do for you. So,
do you think you can tap into other people's consciousness? Like what they're, because you said about the Christmas tree and the little boy image. And I'm assuming that you weren't, and he wasn't doing any sort of Reiki, which is kind of your
just doing
frequencies.
a massage. Our frequencies were aligned.
Okay. Whatever's going on in their consciousness, do you think you can kind of help navigate? So, like for me, what I'm trying to get at is like I question existence constantly, So when, like, I don't know if that would be like my sort of mental block, because I'm trying to figure out what this is through neuroscience or quantum mechanics.
Correct.
Is there any sort of like if I was under Reiki healing, would you be able to figure it out? Not like for me, give me the answer to like, hey, this is what this means. I just mean you're kind of searching in the wrong area. This is kind of what I'm getting for the block from you. Is my question making sense at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know if I could pinpoint that, but I think having physical blocks in your body, as we could kind of break those down, might open up thoughts that would be repressed memories from a child, or why are you stuck on this, or why do you smell cinnamon? Maybe those things would come to the forefront that you then could help figure out what's the meaning of everything. Does that make sense? I don't think I could tell you why you were having those thoughts, but I might help you open up a little bit more to dissect those on your own.
Can you ever feel if somebody's being fake?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like when they try to act like they're super chill and everything, but they're clearly not.
Clearly not chill.
They're clearly full of messiness.
Yeah.
What did you say? The sewer smell? They're clearly full of the sewer smell.
Yeah, but that was a good thing for you though, right? That wasn't a bad thing, smelling sewage.
I don't know. I think it's something else. I don't know. I don't really know.
Maybe it's the particles of methane that you enjoy.
I don't know. I think it has to do with the booger people dream I told you about that one time.
Booger people dream?
Dude, people tell you about dreams at all? And like try to understand dreams?
No, I'm not a dream person, but I personally find it fascinating. I think dreams are real, and I think they need to be tuned into.
We had a guy talk about he decodes dreams and deciphers them.
Wow.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that was the last podcast, actually. Even though it was a while ago.
No, there was one after that.
Was there?
I think so.
The dream guy?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of powering up, there's actual symbols that you can use. You literally make the motion in the air of different symbols, depending on if you want to do Reiki distance healing. For example, if there's someone, across the nation that wanted to do Reiki, you actually do those power symbols in the air, which then makes you have more of a boost to help someone from a distance from Reiki. So Reiki distance actually does work. If that person knows you're doing Reiki on them from a distance, they actually will feel the effects of it.
Sounds wow. Like Dr. Strange.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So could you just kind of like talk? I've always wanted to know. I've like read stuff about like chakras and stuff, but I've always like wanted to know like the actual like specifics
of chakras.
Yeah, because I've read like the Mahabharata and other Eastern philosophical things that kind of like touch on it, but I never have heard it out of someone's mouth what exactly they like, a kind of idiot's guide to chakras.
There are so many books on chakras and so much on chakras, and by the nature of chakras, they are difficult to explain. They just really are. We all have them. They exist in a subtle and invisible realm that surrounds each of us. And Reiki, as we talked about, helps balance the chakras. And we'll start, if you want, we'll just quickly go through the 7 chakras. You want to talk right quickly?
Yeah. Do you go from the bottom up or crown down?
Let's do crown down. Then we'll end on 1. We'll start at 7. We'll end on 1. And then 1 is earth. Does that sound good?
So there's 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The number 7 is the crown, which is the top of your head. And when I'm working with clients, I will have them visualize like a beautiful lotus flower on top of their head, and they're beaming in good universal energy. And that's true. They can really feel that. And the energy of the chakra points upwards, and it connects us to the spiritual realms. It connects us to our higher conscious, and it's definitely a main entry point of Reiki into our system. So that's called our crown chakra, and the color of that is indigo. And then the next crown is third eye. We've all heard of third eye, and that's between the brows, and the color there is purple, and this supplies energy for self-awareness. So you think about your third eye.
Your pineal gland.
That makes sense because purple is supposed to be wisdom.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I'm trying to do things at night, like when I close my eyes and like envision, I see things or whatever, but it's always from like the center, and it is kind of like a shade of purple.
Awesome. See?
But I just think it's my cornea messing up or
No, you're truly seeing
glaucoma.
purple. You're truly seeing the purple. So the third eye, as you're talking about, it supplies energy for self-awareness, inner vision, and planning and insight.
And what is it? That's just called the third eye?
Third eye. That's the number 6 chakra. And then number 5 is throat. And I find the throat chakra so fascinating because a lot of people that have thyroid issues, they are people that are very meek and mild and don't speak their truth. True story. I've seen it time and time again. People that struggle with thyroid, they tend to be reserved. They don't speak their truth, so they have issues when they're in their throat chakra.
Where's a thyroid?
Right here,
right
where you swallow.
Okay.
So the throat chakra is, of course, located in the throat. The color is blue, and it supplies energy for thinking, writing, and creative expression. So you don't want to shut that down. And a little side note here, please, when you're at the dentist and you're getting an x-ray on your teeth, always ask for the little collar to cover your thyroid. You don't want to have the radiation into your thyroid.
Well, I never go to the dentist, so I don't have to worry about that.
No dentist for you. Yeah. So those of us that do go to the dentist. And then the next one is the heart chakra. And the color for the heart chakra is green. And this supplies us energy for all aspects of love, joy, compassion, and nurturing, which, of course, we connect with the heart. And spiritual guidance and connection there as well.
Why wouldn't that be red?
I don't know.
Because of blood.
Don't know. It's just the green. Green is earthy. Green is nature.
Yeah.
Green is very,
Well, I guess your veins are green.
Well, when a lot of times when people's favorite color is green, what's your favorite color?
Black.
Black. What's your favorite color?
Like a navy blue, like a dark
Navy
blue.
blue.
Mine used to be blue, I think.
I just like dark. I like greens. I was a kid.
I like grays.
Grays.
I like orange.
There you go.
like grays and orange. Jumping from one color, like I like
likes-
I
black
like all
color.
colors, actually.
He likes black,
Yeah.
grays, and orange. But
Yeah.
like my favorite color is green, which makes sense to me that it's the very nurturing color. I've kind of fit that. So
you kind of gravitate naturally to colors because I would not call myself very nurturing, and I don't own a green shirt.
no,
No.
red shirt.
One.
There you go.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's just weird. It's cool. So the heart chakra is our 4th chakra. And then our 3rd chakra is called the solar plexus. And it's just below the sternum near your diaphragm. And this is where we kind of hold our breath and we may not say what we need to say. But it's self-expression. And it's taking action in the world. And it's your personal power. It's your source of confidence. So if someone comes to me and they're struggling with confidence and they're feeling really beat up by the world, I'll work on their solar plexus area. And it helps open that up so that they might feel a little bit better.
So for that, sorry to keep interjecting. I
No, I love it.
So for like that, breathing exercises and stuff like that, like breathing
Absolutely.
meditation, that's good for those kinds of
Breathing.
people.
And people think that breathing in is the real key. It's really the breathing out that helps us relax, helps us with anxiety. You know, you breathe in, but you really focus on the out breath. It's so very important.
So is there like could you do different meditations for different chakras? Could there be like a certain meditational practice or like a specific practice you can do to either, concentrate on that certain chakra or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can visualize your body, having a huge eraser go through it where you literally scrub the different chakras that you're having troubles with to kind of open them up and clean them and detoxify them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
Cool. It is cool. And then chakra number 2 is called our sacral chakra, and it's just above the pubic bone, and it is orange. So there you go. And so you like orange. Let's talk about you. It helps with self-esteem, creativity, self-love, pleasure, sensuality, and it helps with emotional balance. Yep.
Does this have anything to do with sacred secretion?
I don't know.
Oh, did you ever hear about sacred secretion?
No, talk to me about it.
I'm not 100% sure on it. My friend talks to me about like his version
What
of
is sacred?
Sacred secretion. It's just like this thing that will travel through all of your chakras to the orange.
Seriously?
Yeah, and then if you'll have like these because of the sensuality one, because he was saying when it finally reaches there, that's kind of when like you kind of have to not embracing it and just kind of reserve yourself so the secretion can go back up.
Go back up.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'll have to learn more about that.
That's what he told me. I don't know, like, because he's into like the whole chakra thing, and then really big into sacred secretions.
And it's called sacral secretion.
Yeah, and then certain times of your sign, there will be in 1 month or 2 months where it will actually pinpoint. And he's like always informing me, like mine would have been on like where it's going to go down and go back up was September 8th. And like the next one won't happen until November or something.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it's based on your sign, and I don't know what the other part of it was, but yeah, so it'll happen like every 2 months or so. And then the alignment of the moon. That was the other part.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, would you have to do something with that?
Yeah, it was the alignment of the moon and then your sign.
And each person's different, so it's your sign, your birth date probably.
Yeah, and then when it will hit down and then when it'll go back up. And then
that's cool.
He said like when he felt it immediately stopped him and put him like, this is when he decided to start researching it more, is he stopped it and like stopped what he was doing, put his hands on his like breakfast nook, and then just sat there and felt this weird tingling going down his spine, and then his whole hands, like when you're the blood pools from your extremities to your core. That's what it felt like, but opposite, he said. So like it was just going out to his hands and his feet. And then he's like, what is this? And then so he started researching it more. And then like when he's saying when he knows it's going to hit the bottom of it,
right?
To go back up, that's when he eats extremely clean and lean. So like he won't eat any meats, it's only plants. And then once it goes back up, then he can continue.
It helps him benefit from that probably.
Yeah. He's got this weird growing thing with like mold that like grows in water. I forget what it's called, but he eats that too. I thought
that doesn't sound safe.
It doesn't sound safe.
It's supposed to have like a ton of minerals and vitamins. I can't remember the name.
He just straight up eats moldy growth.
Well, it's not really mold. It's more like algae, but it looks like mold in this
We
weird
need to learn more about that.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious if any of the chakras, like, you knew any of that sort of thing.
Do not know that.
Okay.
Do not know that. But I'm sure it's true because chakras, like I said, there's so many books on it and so many different layers. This is just very basic what we're talking about right now. And then chakra number 1 is our root chakra, which is when people are completely wiped out, they're not getting enough earth time. There's nothing wrong with going and laying in the park, laying in your backyard, sitting, walking barefoot outside. You want to reground yourself. And that's near our torso, of course, near our tailbone. And this is based on earth and connecting back to Mother Earth. And when our root chakra is balanced, life flows more naturally. We have the ability to relax. We have the ability to let go. We feel more generous. And we also feel more optimistic. And those are all things I think we strive to be.
Not to be disgusting, but could in order to satisfy this chakra, would you say that, let's say, appropriate bowel movement and let's say a healthy, consistent, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. You do not want to be plugged up. That's not good.
Because that would make sense.
Talk about mold and yuck, that's not good.
Because that would make sense, someone that's, having a bad time with that, they could be cranky or something. So if that's not in line.
So
that's that whole part of that body too. You want that to be moving slowly moving and keeping things clean down there, and you don't want to have any sort of digestive distress. And Reiki's very good for that.
Yeah.
So because Andrew and I usually make jokes about stuff like this constantly. Has anybody ever, like when you're doing Reiki, just like let one go?
That's true. I didn't mention that, but since we're lightening up a little bit, when I said there's no right or wrong on this table, there's snoring, there's releasing of gases. You cannot even imagine what all happens.
Do you laugh?
Well, I kind of do chuckle a little bit, but I have to remain professional. And most of the time they're asleep, so they don't even know that they're doing that.
Yeah.
That is true. But yes, the body's kind of let go, and things happen, and things move, and things gurgle, and sights and sounds. Yeah.
See, like now my imagination is just going crazy over like just ideas of what you get. Like what happens
when you're sleeping on the Reiki table.
Yeah, like you start from the head and like you Reiki push it out.
Yeah. Who started it? Is there like a soul starter of
Reiki?
Yeah.
Yes, I knew you would ask me that. It's like Yunsi or something. A Japanese gentleman. Okay. I don't remember his name.
So it's not related to like Buddhism or anything like that?
No. Well, no. But it is based out of, the word Rei means God and all that is, Reiki, and then Ki, Ki, is the life force. So God and love and all that is, whatever we prefer to, what is God to whomever.
Right.
And then Ki is the powers of the universe. So
that's like Chi as well. Ra.
What about, have you ever heard of Ikigai?
Ikigai.
Your Ikigai? Ikigai has like 4 things. One is like basically your passion that, how can you like benefit from it? How can others benefit from it? How can you use it monetarily, and how can you, I forget what always the 4th one is, but like it goes to your passion, and basically how can you make your passion better for other people while it's making you better, type of thing. So
how can you make your passion better for other people?
Yeah, like it's your reason for being. That's like kind of the definition of it. Mm-hmm. But you said Iki at the very end. I was like, I wonder if that's kind of the beginning of Ikigai.
Well, probably Ki, Chi.
Yeah.
Chi,
all cultures have like this similar thing. I forget, like Ra, Re.
Yeah.
Rai.
Reiki. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, cool.
What other questions you got, guys?
What about you? You have any questions?
I have tons of questions.
Yeah, ask him. Mine are all gonna be about the same, about experiences and things like that.
So how does I guess I'm trying to think of how to frame this question. How does it differ from like say like something like transcendental meditation or regular meditation? Do you think that it's like tapping into, I guess, kind of like the same collective energy that's around us and surrounds us? It's just kind of a different form of achieving that?
Mm-hmm. I do. And you can do Reiki alone. You can do Reiki on yourself. It's like you can sit in a quiet room and meditate yourself. You can have Reiki by a practitioner. A lot of people prefer to have a practitioner do Reiki, and the more you do Reiki, the more powerful it becomes. Same with meditation. The more you meditate, the better you become at it. So whether you're meditating alone or in a group, or whether you're doing Reiki on yourself or with a practitioner, it definitely becomes more powerful. And therefore our bodies respond to it. More blocks come open, more relaxation happens, and just feeling better about life. And I've got to be honest, the last few months I've been less involved in Reiki, and I can feel it in my soul that I just am not.
Something's missing.
Absolutely.
We haven't done the podcast in a few years, and I feel the same, or in a few weeks, and I've felt the same way, like there's something missing.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about today.
Because this is kind of like our form of meditation.
Time,
yeah. When you first got into it, was it the only thing that you were exploring, or did you kind of explore other avenues too, other forms of meditation or healing? Or
well, I became an aromatherapist first.
Oh, okay.
And just the whole world of flowers and plants is just unbelievable. To be able to center and, like, Barry, you mentioned earlier, what does it mean when we like certain oils? So I became an aromatherapist first, and that beautifully couples into Reiki. And just knowing that there's more to life than just what we see as Americans on this planet, always busy. How do we turn within? How do we shut down? What sort of energies are out there that are really there to make us live more in sync?
Have you ever had to convince like a non-believer in this sort of thing?
No, because I won't. If they don't want to believe, then they don't believe. I think Barry and I kind of talked about that a little bit before too, with different thoughts of, you either are one of these people or you're not. And those of us that like this kind of stuff, I think we just get life a little bit more.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I would totally agree, because ever since we started doing the podcast and talking, and like I've been on this, I don't want to call it a journey, because it's not technically a journey. I would say betterment for myself. I don't get as angry driving as I used to get. I mean, I still get mad, but I don't get as mad, and I don't get as stressed out. But I'm aware of it. But I think a lot of people, like you said, they just move too fast. Everyone's moving too fast. They don't want to take any time to, really look inside. And I think that a lot of people lie to themselves and say that, like, oh, well, this is my me time. I'm taking this time for myself. And I don't think they're really looking into themselves. I think they're just kind of like my me time is, I go lay in bed and get on Facebook, or I
take pictures of themselves.
Take pictures of themselves. They're not like really doing like some internalizing deep thoughts.
No.
But so for you can't do the Reiki by yourself unless you're like certified, though, right?
Nope, you don't have to be certified. Anyone can become a Reiki practitioner, but let me rephrase that. You could learn to do Reiki, but the more you practice it, the more you study it, the more the mentor that I work with, her name is Ruby. She's amazing. She has helped me become better at it and stronger at it. Therefore, I can read people better. I can pick up on the blocks better. I can definitely do Reiki on myself and dogs and cats and neighbors and clients.
So people, do you charge for it, obviously?
I do.
Oh, good. Well, not good in this, but I mean good that you're getting money for your services. But so someone can't just like be like, oh, I'm going to be a Reiki person and then read a book and then tell people. Like, no. Someone would be able to call bullshit. They'd be like, I don't feel any different. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You touched me a couple places and I don't feel any different.
They could call bullshit and their hands wouldn't be getting warm and they wouldn't know where to move. There's a certain rhyme or reason as to when you touch and what you touch, the behind the knees, the ankles, where's the open block for the different digestive distresses and that type of thing. Mm-hmm.
So do you?
So I'm sure there's dime store Reiki practitioners, but
right. Well, there's always kind of cheap stuff for everything, cheap people for everything.
And back to you mentioning, do people really slow down? Who, and I wish and Barry would like to talk about this, but who decided we're a Monday through Friday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. world? That doesn't work for so many of us. It doesn't work for me.
Henry Ford decided that.
Is that right?
Yeah. When I think I've told this story 50 million times on this podcast, but I love this story because it just goes to show you the ridiculousness of the 9 to 5, and it needs to be reevaluated.
Absolutely.
But it was when he created the car, he had all these factory workers and they were working all the time. 60, 80 hours a week. They weren't having any time to go be with their families or whatever. So he said, well, I'm going to, make 2 shifts, like a morning shift and night shift, the 9 to 5. So they would work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. That way they could go out on Saturday and Sunday and spend their money, buy the cars, drive their cars that they were buying. So it was basically just kind of a way to, because before they were working all the time and they were never getting to spend their money. So he was never getting that money back. Right. For those cars. So he made the 9 to 5 and have Saturday and Sunday off so they can go spend the money that they in turn just made.
He just paid them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it truly bothers me. And I am not a person that any sort of position I've ever been in the world has had to be flexible. It can't be to punch the time clock. And like the Netherlands, it's so chill over there. And they go and they maybe take off work at 3:00 in the afternoon and they don't go back in and they're functioning fine. So that whole world doesn't work for the way I'm wired.
They work like 3 days a week.
Yep.
Some of the best musicians, best music producers that I listen to that I actually just saw last weekend at Austin City Limits, he's actually coming here. He's from the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of good artists and that sort of thing come out of there because it's more chill, it's more lax.
Yes.
And I mean, if you think about it, like the way I think about it, when I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or, 8 to 4:30, whatever, but my most productive hours are from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, and then after that all my work is done and I'm just sitting there goofing around. So why do you have to be there till 4:30 or 5? And it's just like the stigma, or I don't know the correct term for it, but it's just like, oh, you got to be here for 40 hours, and Barry and I have
pondered this. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, we've beat a dead horse about this subject. We've both had some pretty big existential meltdowns with this sort of thing, but
I think it's just for control. Honestly, they just want to control your time.
Yeah, because I think that
exhaust it.
Yeah, and I think that they don't want you to have the time to tap into what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me, the super conspiracy part of me, thinks that the secret powers that be, or the powers that be, the government, they know about that power and they don't want anyone else to tap into it because that's how they got to where they are. That's why they're trying to protect their little, gang.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I have not, because I kind of like left for a second there. But but going off that, just from what I know, or from what I heard, I mean, is I always feel like, you take these 9-to-5 jobs to pay back things that you have purchased, like a degree that's basically useless, and then a home, I always think of it as like modern slavery, because you can have the home, you can have your food, but you have to do this job for this many hours.
Right.
You can have a little bit of freedoms here and there, and they always promise you like this sense of retirement and how you're going to enjoy the world when you do it. But when you become retirement age, like my parents are getting there, they don't want to do any of that shit. Because they're just too
they're
old,
exhausted.
Yeah,
right.
because they raised kids. Now they're have grandkids. They just want to be around. They the idea of, because I'm going on a trip. The idea of being on a plane for 4 hours to them might be a completely arduous. As for me, is okay, I can do some reading in this time.
Right.
Be excited for the destination. It's they kind of just want you to squander your good years of life. So just on a produce consume sort of society thing.
Absolutely.
All based on entertainment.
I've spent a lot of my career working with seniors, the senior population, and I do see that they're exhausted. And believe
with
it
the
or not,
Reiki.
well, yeah, and seniors do respond beautifully to Reiki, because what do seniors, older people, they don't sleep well. So they get that deep sense of relaxation. But with that said, you do see them coming in and they're tired and they're retired and they're like, what the heck? I've got this money and I really don't have the energy to use it. So I think we're backwards in that area.
I agree. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I love to work on music, but the only time that I really get to work on it is Saturday night. When I've had I got to sleep in on Saturday, and my girlfriend's working till 11.
And your juices are flowing.
Yeah, but I find my every day on the way to work, when it's 8 o'clock or 7:30, all these ideas are just flying through my head. But I have to go at work, and then by the time I get off and it's time to come home, it's
they're kind of squelched a little bit.
Yeah,
yeah. That's why I prefer the whole night thing. That's why I get a little I don't want to work mornings at all because of that reason.
So does Reiki help with that sort of thing? Can it change your mindset?
Absolutely. I truly believe that it can. I think it can help change your mindset, can help with positivity. You can go in there and set an intention of A, B, C, or D, and then based on you feeling that calm and that meditation while you're receiving the treatment. Absolutely. And Reiki's really good with cancer patients as well, and people going through life-altering illnesses. Helps in that arena as well.
Yeah, you talked about how you wanted to pursue that. How do you so would that be an alternative to, I guess, chemo and that sort of thing?
It'd be in addition to. It'd be tandem. Chemo is exhausting. Chemo can wear you down. Chemo is really a poison that we put in our body to try and save our life.
It's like a physical.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Reiki could, I guess, be the opposite and be a more of a mindset kind of thing.
Mindset, deep relaxation, gratitude, a time of gratitude, bringing us back to what really matters, centering us again. If you are faced with a terminal illness, you're still alive, so let's live. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that part of that, the Reiki, is them, so you're conjuring out the positivity out of them, but do you think that that's also kind of, I guess, on another level, subconsciously manifesting their health to come back up?
Yes, absolutely.
So because I always think this, and I don't know, obviously, because I don't know if there's any proof, but back in the olden days, we'll say medieval times, people didn't live very long back then, but they died because of bacteria and stuff. Our immune systems weren't built up enough to do it, and we didn't have modern medicine to kind of counteract it. Or they died from, getting eaten by bears or getting killed by neighboring tribes or stuff. But I always wonder if there was cancer back then. Obviously there probably was, but I think that a thing today, cancer is so prevalent, it's all in your mind. If you're constantly stressed out and you're using, kind of the power of manifestation for negativity, that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And cancer starts from inflammation. And so look what we do to our bodies, that we enhance inflammation, what toxins. And I believe pesticides play a huge role in that. I think all this plastic, look, cancer incidences have skyrocketed since plastic's been in our lives.
Yeah.
So did they have cancer back in the medieval ages? Probably not to the way we know it.
Right. And I don't think I think that some things nowadays aren't really necessarily cancer. I think that's just what
they call it.
We've decided to classify it as.
I think you're absolutely right.
Cancer patients too, that I notice, are vastly more open to different things.
Yeah, that's why
than they used to be.
Yeah, and I think that alternative medicines are more prevalent nowadays because, well, you can't afford, and people can't really afford that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like my stepmom and my dad, they're like big into all this kind of stuff. My dad was super excited. He can't wait to listen to this podcast. Same with my stepmom. He works at Ford, and he builds F-150. So whenever Barry and I do this, he'll listen to it, and he like loves it. And when I told him about this, he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to listen." I was like, "Well, we're not doing it live, so you're gonna have to wait." I told him I'd upload it right afterwards. But they're big into that whole manifestation and secret kind of thing, and they have not been sick in like 12 years. Or at least had like flu, cold kind of things.
Did they get the flu shot?
No.
No.
My stepmom does not believe.
You and I talked about that. I think it's complete.
Barry, did you get the flu shot?
No, I think it's garbage.
Yeah, it's not good for you because there's so much metal in those flu shots, and it's just let's scare the masses, and who benefits? Merck. Yeah. You know, there's some big pharma in all of this that makes big money.
Yeah.
I think there's tracking systems or something in it.
Well, and I think they're just injecting you so that you're not going to be sick this year, but in 10 years when you get this heinous,
like a sleeper agent thing?
This heinous thing, and it costs you, your flu shot was $20, you're fine for a while, but then when you come back and you got $100,000 worth of damage to your body, then they're raking in. Yep.
Well, the injections get into our body. Our body doesn't know what to do with it. It lodges in our cells, in our tissues, and then you know how they decide the flu shot, don't you? It's the year previous. The CDC guesses what they think the strain will be, and they make them up based on a best guess. So they may be 30% right. So there may be 70% of the vaccine may not even be impacting us. And they also look at Australia because Australia is opposite season of us. So they're like, well, what flus hit Australia? And then they help us decide what they think.
So just guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really believe.
I never understood how could they do it because flus just mutate constantly.
Right.
So like when it's in you, your body, like when it's naturally in you, and then it passes through you, your body's developed natural immunities to it, so you won't get that.
Yeah,
strain
and it morphs into a new thing. And when I sneeze it on you, then you're
and then you won't get it because it's like that sort of thing. But if it goes around the world, like in a season comes back to you, maybe it's mutated so much that your body has to have natural immunities to it again.
Can a sick person come in and be like not like terminally sick, but like let's say I have like a sinus infection.
You were reading my mind. I was going to say sinus.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or like an upper respiratory infection, and I come in like and get, that would fix that?
Absolutely. Would help. Definitely diminish the symptoms. Definitely make you feel better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with the cancer patients, is it already kind of like a inherited thing, or are they already doing that, or is it more of like on the verge kind of thing?
There's some hospitals in the United States. I think Sloan Kettering does it, where they actually do Reiki sessions with people that are in the midst of chemo, or maybe they're in remission, and they do really feel better because of it. I'm not saying it's going to heal cancer. We're not saying that, but it can certainly help the after effects of the trauma, the exhaustion, the life worry of how much longer I'm going to be here, maybe the devastation of the chemo or the radiation on their bodies. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you one question. It's kind of from like back.
Sure.
When you mentioned like from a distance, you said they have to be open. What happens if like they're not verbally open? This is my thought: is they're not verbally open. You see them from afar, but their energy's open, but they have no idea. Can you do it like on them without even knowing?
Oh, I've done it like at my son's baseball games and things. When he played baseball, I would, someone would be injured on the field, and I would instantly send Reiki. And there's stories, true stories of, car accidents where the medics are like, how in the world did this person survive? Because someone that is attuned in Reiki got out and was doing Reiki to them on the side of the highway, and they fared much better because of that energy. I mean, there's lots of testimonials with that type of thing.
So I'm going to get kind of serious and deep, but do you think that the reason that some people feel not afraid, but are hesitant to kind of talk about these kinds of things is because of like the stigma attached to it? Because because of how Western society has made it such of like a what's the word?
Like hippy dippy thing.
Yeah, like hippity dippity kind of like almost like witchery kind of thing.
Voodoo or
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It doesn't fit their agenda kind of deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And do you think that that I always call them the powers to be or the deep state, dark government, that sort of thing. But do you think that they're aware of and I think I kind of asked this earlier, but do you think that they're kind of like aware of these sorts of things and maybe like they do them to themselves or like they actually partake in it, but they poo-poo on it because they don't want other people to know about it because they're not making money from it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's funny that you say that. Is I was visiting with a gentleman from a major insurance carrier here in Kansas City, and he was kind of asking about some of the, complementary therapies that I like to partake in. And he said, eventually someday that might be reimbursed by insurances, but right now they wouldn't touch any of this stuff. And it's something that could really enhance and work in tandem with a lot of these medical necessity therapies that are big pharmacology, but they're not reimbursing for any of this cool stuff. That makes sense because there's stigma attached to the voodoo, like you say.
Right.
There's a lot of stigma attached to stuff like
well,
that.
And I think they can't monetize it like they could. Like they can't with pharma, big pharma. You have a pill. You have a pill. You have a physical thing. But with these sorts of things, it's more of like mental. And the pharma thing is all that is just chemicals. You're just pumping your body full of foreign chemicals, sometimes natural chemicals, that sort of thing. That's why like I can't believe it took this long to actually start putting marijuana back in everything, or not in everything, but like making that an acceptable thing because that's natural.
It's what they're doing with MAPS with MDMA too.
Yeah,
for people with PTSD and terminal.
Yeah.
illness.
Yeah.
Do you foresee Reiki healing and similar, I guess, I don't know.
Like instances?
Yeah, well, like that and like other ways of dealing with things as being a more accepted and more sought after treatment, like in the near future?
I would love it if it would. I think if people actually gave it a whirl, maybe not just one time, but 2 or 3 times, and realize how they feel and how you sleep better that night and how maybe things just seem a little lighter, like you mentioned road rage and feeling a little lighter and you're not getting mad and, choose love. And that's the whole idea of Reiki is, when you get up in the day, look how many people helped your day work. Well, you pumped gas. Well, someone's in that gas station. Maybe you went and got coffee. Well, who's the person that handed you your coffee? Who's the person that greets you as you walk through the door? All of these people are such a huge part of your world to make your day work. And just the whole gratitude factor and just being able to be in a situation of being in the midst of a Reiki session where gratitude is first and foremost in your mind. And it is proven that people that are grateful and start their day with gratitude and actually practice Reiki, they have lower blood pressure. You have less inflammation in your body. You have less stress. You're healthier. That's scientific fact.
I know in meditation, like they did studies on gray matter, and the more gray matter you have, it builds more connections to different things. Is there any sort of studies on that with Reiki?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Has there been any sort of scientific studies with Reiki?
Mm-hmm. There have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, is inflammation one of them?
Inflammation, blood pressure, lower blood pressure, actual sleeping better, less sleep apnea. Sleep apnea can be deadly if you're gasping for air in the night.
I have dreams like that, but I don't know if it's actually happening in real life. Like when I was a kid.
Do you snore?
No, I don't snore at all.
How do you know?
I don't know. The only time I think I don't know. I'm pretty because my entire life I don't think I've ever been snoring or anything. But
yeah.
I used to have those dreams when I was a kid where I could not breathe, and I'm searching everywhere and asking people for help. It's like, how do I learn how to breathe?
Well, do you have big tonsils?
Yeah, I think so. I think I know I still have my tonsils for sure. They never really hurt me or anything. I know when my mom was a kid, she never got her tonsils removed, but she had tonsillitis.
Oh, lots of times. And you know what tonsillitis is?
It's just inflamed tonsils.
But it means your body's full of yeast. So she probably was on antibiotics. A lot of people don't know this. The more antibiotics you're on, the more it fuels
yeast.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to be on antibiotics.
So you were talking about like different sort of aromas and things similar to that. Do you kind of apply that beyond aromas to maybe like foods? Like for an example, we're talking about the flu, and one thing that I do that I feel like when I'm getting sick, what I'll do is drink more water with either lime or lemon, and then eat a ton of oranges.
That's vitamin C.
Yeah. But for some reason, if I ate strawberries, which have more vitamin C, it doesn't do the same thing. I don't know if it's a citric acid in it.
It's the citric acid, and it's mandarin orange is the universal happy oil. So when people partake in any of the oranges, you feel better. You just simply do feel better. And there's a hospital in San Diego. It's a children's hospital. I can't think of the name of it. They actually diffuse the scent of mandarin oranges in the halls.
Ooh.
Because it uplifts the family, it uplifts the kids, and it makes you feel better.
So, what do you think that we are that? And this is getting more spiritual, but do you think that we are like all a collective unity of like the same consciousness? We're just kind of like little offshoots, or do you think that we're actually each individual things?
Like we talked about one time where you have TVs, right? Picture those as humans, and the TV signals the consciousness. So it's all going into this. The consciousness is going into the same TV. But if your TV may be broken, where it distorts the image, or might be a high def compared to like a standard, but it's each TV is different, but they're receiving the same signal, kind of like that. Or is it each person the same or the singular consciousness?
I think it's group.
Yeah, so that's what I think too. Do you think that like when we die, that like your physical vehicle dies, but your consciousness and like your spirit just goes back up?
Absolutely.
And
that's
then
what
maybe,
I believe.
and then like, so your spirit will go back up, and then it'll come back down, and that person will be another Reiki healer.
Do you think that there's because my friends and I've had the same friends since I was 4 years old, and somehow we think that just one of my friends in particular think that there's groups of consciousness, so each one is a different group, and then the people that are into your lives, that like for some reason you build an instant connection is because you're part of the same conscious group, and then the other ones that you don't really get along with too well for some reason. Like when you meet people somehow like you just don't connect instantly. They're from a different group of consciousness.
Well, and I think you say the group of consciousness, but also vibrational energy. And that's the whole thing of Reiki. I think people that vibrate on the same frequency, so to speak, you're going to like each other better. You instantly feel an attraction. Why is that? Because of their energy, good energy.
Can you change that?
The energy?
Like your vibration?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you're like if you're a shithead, but then you have an awakening, can you like
absolutely
kind of morph yourself?
Absolutely. If you are just a tirade, cranky, rude human being, you do not have good energy. You just
that's
don't.
how it used to be.
Do you think that? Well, I was ready about to say this.
What'd you do to change?
Start of the podcast.
So it's been
You weren't that rude though when I met you though, man.
Changed my job because I was on the way out.
Oh, okay.
It was my job that was killing me.
Yeah, that's my 9 to 5 was. I was waking up in like sweats and then had rashes all over me from stress.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was like, I gotta go. I can't do
You
this.
can't do it. It's
Yeah.
your body. If that's not your
It's
body
not natural.
screaming, get
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Especially when you get, I think that, like for, and we've talked about this a lot, for kids that go to like college and stuff, it's like, oh, you're told to go to college. You're told to do good in school and this and that and this and that, and that's all fine. And then you get your job and stuff. But that's just part of the growing to become who you really are. And we always talk about everyone finds it at different times. Like there's,
Absolutely.
16-year-old genius guitarists. They found it early. There's 30-year-old genius guitarists. There's people that become famous when they're 40, when they're 70, this and that. And it's just kind of like finding that, whatever
But then
is.
that gets into the question of what is age and is time linear. So.
Ooh.
That's a whole other thing.
Okay, just real quick on that. Do you believe in presentism or eternalism?
Eternalism.
Okay. I think it's an idea that it's linear. I think that
Exactly.
it's all happening simultaneously. The weird thing for me is, why are you experiencing this moment now and not when you're 5 or not when you're 80?
Exactly.
Well, I always just get scared of the thought. I like this life. So when I die, I'd hope that I just get to continue like one of these days.
Exactly.
As opposed to,
maybe
I don't want to
that's
start
exactly what
over.
it
You
is.
don't want it to be worse.
Yeah, and I just don't want to start over.
But I think that's the idea is every you're trying to self-actualize to the ultimate like Buddha type of thing, where you understand what suffering is and just kind of have the middle way, rather than like maybe you were like the reason why you're younger and being a shithead when you're younger is because your past life you were until you die were a complete shithead, so it carried over.
So basically, you're just trying to
over.
get to the point to where when you're born and you can first speak, you can remember your past life.
That'd be crazy. My mom used to tell me that. I used to say when I was real young, like 2 or 3, that I would tell her I like this family better than my last family.
What?
Yeah. And then I would ask her what happens when humans are extinct.
What?
Well, in 2030, that we're on the up and up for that.
Aren't we though?
With the global warming thing scientifically proven.
Yeah, that's fearful. And then all the pesticides. I am a huge anti-pesticide, and all these people that have their backyard sprayed for mosquitoes. You know what they're killing? Bees.
Yeah. When's the last time I would?
Droves of bees are being killed.
I'm so damn sweet. I used to be stung all the time when I was younger. I got stung all the time.
No bee stings now.
I never get stung.
In China, they created these mechanical bees to pollinate.
Sterling got stung.
Oh yeah. And it pollinated flowers like 100 times better than bees did.
Well, that's
yeah,
good.
people
Bees.
have to grow their own bees basically
Yeah.
now to have bees. Yeah.
Bees have this weird communication. Did you ever like? It was on a Joe Rogan podcast with Paul Sandemans.
Yeah.
He was talking about how like he was at a bee farm and wild bees came in and they're like, hey, get back. And they just watched these bees do these like weird things and they left and they're communicating like, hey, don't go over here. This is our territory type of thing.
So very, what is that, allopathic, where they can choose what they want to reach out to?
I have no idea.
Very cool.
That's just what he was saying on the thing. But it kind of makes sense because in the worker bee community, like there's different levels. Like we have like go-getters and we have like lazy people.
So it's like humans.
Bees have
Yeah.
that as well.
Worker bees, queen
There's
bees.
dominant.
Yeah.
Well, we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to learn more about this, what are some avenues in which they can learn more?
Well, you want to find someone that is certified, that is truly a Reiki practitioner and didn't just spend 2 days learning or reading about it, because you're not going to get the potency of the transfer of energy. So you want to find someone that's recommended, someone that truly knows what they're doing and believes in it. And just make sure when you're actually getting a Reiki treatment, don't just lay on some cold, massage table. You want the goodness of relaxation, meditation, a warm table, maybe essential oils, some meditation, and you definitely trust your gut and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with that person.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is feeling comfortable with somebody.
Absolutely. Your
Yeah.
eyes are closed,
I don't get massages because I don't like strangers touching me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll just be tense and stressed the entire time.
All right, well, Lynn, well, thank you very much.
This was fun.
Yeah. We'll get you back on and we'll talk about aromatherapy and other stuff, and
We'll do that.
maybe we'll just have an all conspiracy talk one
I
time.
think we should. And then question, you mentioned, is it your dad or your stepdad that works at Ford?
My dad,
Okay, what's his name?
Scott.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Scott.
Yeah.
And we're glad he's going to be listening.
Yeah, and Dad, make sure Cindy hears this because she likes that. They have this bag, this like infrared bag that they do to each other, and they get in this like infrared bag, and it's supposed to like
Toxins.
yeah.
It helps relieve your body of heavy metals.
Dude, I'm telling you, my stepmom, they're like creepily weird. They win at the casino all the time. They win at bingo all the time.
They've got good vibrational energy. I like them already.
Yeah, if I ever need something, I just ask her. I'm like, will you put it in the universe? And she's good about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My family's normal. Whatever the sense of the meaning of the word is.
All right. So we were on a break for a while, but we will be back every week except for next week
Yeah.
because Barry's going to California for Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But as always, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. Look up Reiki Healing. And thanks again to our guest, Lynn.
Adios, amigos.
Bye-bye.